You probably wouldn't recognize it from Guinness Book of World Records, but you would know her as Rosa Parks. Can you imagine that a 43-year-old seamstress had enough weight to not just stop a bus, but to stop a bus company and stop a bus system? If she was able to do that at 97 pounds, I'm trying to figure out how it is that we are obese, but still anemic.
Woo!
How is it that
you teaching good already.
In the way that we should? Because not only are we not stopping buses, we're not even stopping people.
No problem.
About 6 months ago, being 10 years older than what Rosa Parks was, and 100 pounds heavier, I had to ask myself, how much weight does the black church still have? How much weight does the black church still have when 27 Fortune 500 companies rolled back DEI after the inauguration of Donald John Trump?
Come on.
And when those 27 companies rolled back their position, I want to pause and say to you, not one black denomination held them into accountability. And so being the pastor of a singular church, not being a bishop, not being an overseer, and not holding any position in any mainline denomination, I called for our local church in Atlanta to do a fast from Target. Immediately from making that call for that fast from Target, cheers from the peanut gallery started saying it won't make a difference. It won't make an impact. There is nothing that one church can do. To my amazement and to my surprise, 350,000 people signed the covenant to not go back into Target. We didn't have much weight as a singular church. But I flew to PG to Prince George's County today because I wanted to thank you. Because you have modeled and exercised to a generation what cooperative economics looks like. Because of your stick-to-itiveness and because you were forthright and devout in believing our dignity is worth more than $1, Target has lost $12 billion. I wanted to thank you because their stock has dropped from $145 a share to now $90 a share. I wanted to thank you because foot traffic has gone down by 9.7% and online spending has dropped by 8.3%. I wanted to thank you because of what it is that we were able to do. The CEO's salary was plummeted by 42%. That's how much power you have, and that's how much weight you exude. I need you to do me a favor. Would you just clap for whoever's sitting at your table? You've not gone to Target. But while it is that we celebrate, while we laud Rosa Parks, 9 out of 10 of you in this room have never heard of Claudette Colvin. You've not heard of Claudette Colvin, and the reality is she should be the real person in the Guinness Book of World Records. Before Rosa Parks, Claudette Colvin refused to give up her seat on the bus. I need you to hear this, but the church decided not to use her because she was 15 and 6 months pregnant. They said she didn't look good enough on paper, so they wanted to find somebody with a clean reputation in order to represent the church. Ladies and gentlemen, that was 70 years ago. But I fear in quaking trepidation, how many Claudette Colvins have we run out of the church? How many people who have the power, who have the wherewithal to make a difference and make an impact, but because we don't think that they're clean enough, then we don't use them. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a critical moment, and I come to you out of embarrassment because this is the largest demographic of black people. Hear me carefully, pastors. It's the largest demographic of black people who don't go to church. 27%.
Yep.
It's the largest amount of black people who self-identify as atheists. 7%. And by and large, it is because of your children were not raised to be in church. They were raised that church was an elective and not a part of the core curriculum. So we don't have things like Vacation Bible School. We don't have Sunday school. We no longer have the youth department. So the younger generation no longer thinks that the church is relevant and valuable because we are not speaking to the issues.
Come on.
We are a part of an information age, and the black church is still depending on inspiration. We're giving inspiration with no information. So your sons are now joining the Hebrew Israelites in the Nation of Islam, and they watch YouTube for hours trying to understand biblical origins, and they come to church and all they hear is, "Ain't he all right?" Only do it and turn to your neighbor. You are a part of a generation that wants to know, in the words of Howard Thurman, will you speak to my head and to my heart? Your children are asking, when is your church going to say anything about Medicaid? When is your church going to say anything about the cancellation of SNAP? When is your church going to say anything about the threats to HBCUs? When is your church going to say anything about school shootings? When is your church going to say anything about what is relative to our community? But you can't, because while white MAGA Republican supremacists were against Kamala Harris becoming president, your church didn't say anything because your church won't let women in the pulpit. So we got to do a full clean house of how it is that we function, how we operate, and how we move, because a lot of us are white supremacists in blackface. It's hard to course correct the black church when a lot of our pastors have the spirit of Donald Trump. That it is only their opinion, it's only got to be their way, it's only got to be their vision. Y'all not saying anything. Gone are the days where the pastor knows everything. You got to surround yourself with valuable and competent people who have something to offer. Pastor, we know you anointed. We know that God's hand is on your life, but you don't know nothing about banking. You don't know nothing about investment. You don't know nothing about real estate, but there are people that want to help you, but you are so insecure behind the pulpit that you don't know the gifts that are sitting in your life. Is your weight. A few years ago, while I was still pastoring in Baltimore, they had a drug dealer who was one of the biggest drug dealers in our city died. And the family asked, could they have the funeral at my church? He wasn't a member there, the family wasn't a member there, but they asked, could the funeral be housed at the church that I pastored? And I said, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, on the day of the funeral, it was more packed than Easter. It was in Baltimore. It was in Baltimore, but the church smelled like Jamaica. If you don't know what I mean, ask your grandchildren. It was in Baltimore, but it smelled like Jamaica. They're singing a sermonic selection before it is that I give the eulogy, and there's a ruckus at the door. It's a ruckus at the door, and I'm trying to figure out what is taking place, so I get out of the pulpit and go to the door to see where the cause of the calamity is. I didn't know whether it was a turf war. I didn't know if two different gang affiliations were going at it, and lo and behold, it was none of it. It was one of my ushers. One of my ushers was trying to block young men from coming into the sanctuary because they had a hat on and sunglasses. I said, are you crazy? This may be the only chance I get to get their soul saved and to get them introduced into heaven. Y'all ain't saying nothing. We are losing our black men on a technicality. We used to, I'm old enough now, I'm on the other side of 50. When I was growing up, choirs used to have 4-part harmony, amen, of sopranos and altos, tenor, and bass. Now, in the average black church, we got to make 3 women sing tenor. Because we ain't got enough men in the church to be able to take a stand. But I declare by faith that God is bringing our men back to the church. He's bringing your sons, he's bringing your father, he's bringing your husband, he's bringing your brother, he's bringing your nephew. I wish I had some real people that can thank God that God still has a heart for men.
Hallelujah.
I spoke a couple of years ago for the Nation of Islam. They probably will never bring me back, but I spoke for the Nation of Islam, and I told the Nation of Islam that the Nation of Islam's success, hear this, the Nation of Islam's success is built on the black church's failure.
Yep, it's true. That's true. It's true.
Nation of Islam's success is built on the black church's failure because we conveniently forget that Malcolm X was Malcolm Little. That he was the son of a Baptist preacher. Son of a Baptist preacher, and found himself making a poor decision, a bad mistake, and a poor choice, and went to jail. Y'all not gonna like this. And while he was in jail, no deacons went to go see him. While he was in jail, nobody on the ministerial staff went to go check on him. While he was in jail, none of the intercessors wrote him a letter. But the Nation of Islam saw his potential and saw his gift and saw his capacity and said, let me make an investment in him. I so wish we could see our young people, even after they make poor decisions and bad choices, and still say, I still see the gift of God in you. I still see glory over your life. I still believe that God can turn your life upside down. Maybe, just maybe, we're losing too much weight. That 70 years ago, we could stop a bus. And 70 years later, we can't stop Charlie Kirk.
My God.
How much weight do we carry when they are now idolizing a man who said the Civil Rights Bill should not be passed? How much weight do we now carry when this same man said that Dr. King was not deserving of a holiday? How much weight do we now carry when he would say that Michelle Obama and Ketanji Brown and Sheila Jackson Lee are DEI hires, and black women don't have the thought capacity to deal and to wrestle with complex issues? And now you can get fired for talking about a racist. But nobody got fired for talking about Trayvon Martin. Nobody got fired for talking about Freddie Gray. Nobody got fired by talking about anybody that was slain and killed. But the good news for black people is we've been talked about our whole lives. But it don't matter what you say about me. It's not what you call. It's what you're answer to. Because Jesus said himself, if I be lifted up, I'll draw. How much weight do we now carry? Now we're quaking in our boots. Do we understand that God hasn't given us the spirit of fear? Love, power, and a sound mind. How much weight do we have? I was talking to one of my mentors, Ambassador Andrew Young, and he said something that is unnerving for me. the last living lieutenant of Dr. King. And I said to him, Ambassador, what do we do now? Ambassador Andrew Young said to me, Jamal, I can only coach you if it gets as bad as it was.
Whoa.
But if it gets worse than that, I don't have a point of reference.
Wow.
These are the times that we're in. And this week, 2 black men have been lynched in Mississippi.
That's right.
These are the times that we're in. Last night, the founders of Black Lives Matter had their homes raided by the FBI. These are the times that we're in. Texas is now erasing congressional districts where black voices have been lynched.
That's right.
These are the times that we're in. And to show you how anemic we are, people are not running to the church.
Nope.
They're not running to the church because they don't believe that we still have weight.
Woo! My God.
And I don't mean just politically. They don't believe we even have the weight spiritually.
Exactly. Exactly.
I pastor a mega church in Atlanta, but I got storefront convictions. When I was raised, some of you wasn't always in Prince George's County. Don't play with me now. When I was raised in a small storefront, apostolic and Pentecostal churches that used to have crutches hanging from the ceiling. Had empty wheelchairs around the altar because you had evidence that God was a healer. We've come to a place where church is now the social club, where there's no evidence of signs and wonders that God is able. But I believe at your table is somebody who can be a witness. He's still a healer. Come on, I can't hear nobody. Somebody at your table can still bear witness that he'll make a way out of no way. Somebody at your table will declare he's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. Somebody at your table will be able to say, when your mother and father forsake you, that's when the Lord will lift you up. Where is your weight? Where's the weight that will support these elected officials who have stood before you today? To know that they've got a group of people who not just vote for them, not just contribute to them, but will actually pray for them. And our problem, ladies and gentlemen, is that we have undervalued how heavy we are. We've undervalued what it is that we bring to the table. I can't come to Prince George's County and not to pay homage to the pastors of this county who set a standard that Black America should have adopted in the collective banking movement.
Yes.
If that same kind of forethought would be replicated across the country, we'd be in a much better place.
Amen.
But we don't understand the weight that we carry. A few weeks ago, I had the distinguished and the august privilege to go speak in Martha's Vineyard. And I was leaving out of Atlanta. There's no direct flights for those of you who haven't been there. There's no direct flights to Martha's Vineyard. I had to have a layover in Boston. And when I got to Boston, I then had to transfer from Delta to Cape Air. And the flight only holds 20 people. And it's during Negro Month. If you know, you know. It's during Negro Month, and so everybody who's getting on the plane is melanated. And only 20 people can get on the plane, but it's taking a long time to check in. My wife and I are the back of the line, and it's taking a long time, and I can't figure out what's taking so long, because it's just 20 of us getting on the plane. Until I got closer to the counter and I figured out what the issue was. The two ticket agents was asking, because there's only 20 people on the plane, that they were asking the 15 black women ahead of me. Y'all ain't gonna believe it. They were asking black women before they could get on the plane, how much do you weigh? I I feel bad for the ticket agent. Says, I hate to do this to you, but I gotta ask you because the plane can only take so much weight. I'm preaching, y'all miss it. And so black women, we are on family. Black women started lying about their weight. They didn't want to speak it out loud. Wasn't no little post-it where you could write it down. They had to speak it out loud. It was a whole lot of fake Rosa Parks on that plane. So that they could handle the weight. And after it is that they ascertained everybody's weight, they then said, everybody's bags can't go. It's too heavy for the plane to take off. I got to leave you. My time is up. I got to go to Alabama today. But I wanted to say to somebody, maybe, just maybe, our community and our churches are not taking off because we carrying too much dead weight. We got too many people in our community who are only black during Black History Month. We got some dead weight.